Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode number 5 of Am I the A-hole pod?
Yeah, I'm Anthony O'Connell. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm Danny Vega. We're so excited to have you guys here. It's been a joy interacting with everyone on all the platforms, and I gotta say right now I'm kind of obsessed with our Facebook group.
Our Facebook group is pretty sick. Tons of comments, tons of engagement, a lot of discussion.
It's popping in there. And I just want to stress again, we're not here to say what's what. We don't know. I'm an idiot. I can definitely attest to that. So it's been great to get a lot of different insight, opinions, knowledge, everything from the Facebook group.
Yeah, we're not experts. We're just trying our best. And a lot of people, they leave really insightful, good, thought-provoking comments and keep it coming.
You can check out all our links and everything at AITApod.com. And we got a heck of an ep for you today. Only 2 stories. They're both about everyone's favorite mode of transportation, aeroplanes.
Flight.
Our second story is AITA for not giving up my seat on a plane so a mom could be with her kids. Our first story. This is a big one. Guys, this story, in fact, was the reason Anthony and I decided to start the pod because I saw a news article about this and I thought, oh my God, these things, they need to be talked about more in depth.
It is juicy, baby.
AITA for making an obese man pay me cash to take up part of my seat on a long flight by you/bigbawluh, BAWLUH. I was flying across the country on a 5-hour flight. I chose an aisle seat in a row of 2. A very obese man boarded, and I could tell he was going to have a tough time fitting in any of the seats. I was mentally crossing my fingers, hoping that he wasn't next to me, but sure enough, he was in the window seat right next to me. He sits down and is seeping about 1/3 into my seat. I sat down and am pressed up against him, making me uncomfortable. After a minute, I decided to be up front and tell him, "Sir, I'm sorry, but this situation is not working for me. You're taking up quite a bit of my seat." He shrugged as if there's nothing he could do, so he tightened his arms and tried to be narrower. Even still, he was overhanging about 1/4 into my seat. I stopped the flight attendant and asked her what could be done. She tells him he's likely going to need to purchase another seat. She went to the front of the plane and came back and said there are no open seats so that there was nowhere where he could move. The guy seemed embarrassed and didn't want to get up. The flight attendant told him that unless someone on the flight agrees to let him take part of their seat, he'll need to book another flight. And he was flustered by this ultimatum. So, here's where I made my offer. I said, look, if you give me $150, half the cost of the flight, that would compensate me enough for the circumstances. He agreed, pulled out cash, and paid me. The people sitting behind me, who, keep in mind, didn't volunteer to sit by him, were making under their breath comments about me being an asshole for doing that. From my perspective, I gave the guy a valid option to stay on the flight, and I was compensated for literally having only 75% of my seat, let alone the feeling of a person's body press against me involuntarily. It's a win-win. He wasn't angry. If anything, he seemed quite relieved we could work it out privately. After the flight, the couple behind me glared, but I ignored them. This leads me to beg the question, though, am I the asshole?
That is a big story there.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. You are not paying respect.
Hello, 911. I'm under arrest. I think not the asshole. Because the other option for this large gentleman is get a whole nother flight with 2 seats. That's double the cost, whereas you only paid an extra $150.
Right. I just can't bring myself to say that this person who told the flight attendant at any point did anything wrong. In fact, I think how they handled this was pretty commendable. They never said anything mean or inappropriate. They talked from a point of view, which I thought was very fair, which is this situation is not working up for me. That's a really fair way to put it. They didn't say, you need to get your life in order or anything condescending or mean. It was just look, man.
No fat shaming, just a fact.
Exactly. Exactly. I have to say the people that bother me the most are the judgmental people behind him who did not empathize with his position and wanted to feel oh, what an asshole. No, fuck you. Because you weren't ready to help him. You weren't ready to give up your seat. You just wanted to sit there being high and mighty. And boy, were they high, 32,000 feet. But go fuck yourselves. Jump Jump out of the plane, judgmental assholes, because you know what? The obese man was happy. This guy was happy. This was a deal. It worked out in everyone's favor. Everyone won.
Exactly. These people in the back need to mind their own business. They, like he even said, they didn't volunteer to give up the seat. Like, that's madness.
Exactly. They weren't willing to be helpful. They weren't willing to do anything to make this situation better. All they had to give was this guy
inflammatory remarks. I feel like they're trying to instigate this poor guy to get him upset.
Absolutely. This guy did not owe the obese gentleman a deal like this. And he was relieved to have gotten this deal.
The most people probably just would have suffered in silence, and that's probably why the people behind him called him an asshole. But sorry he spoke up for himself. Sorry he didn't want to have... I don't want some hot man sweating on me the whole trip. That's brutal.
Absolutely. Top comment from Clock Sailor writes, "You're the asshole. The problem here was that this large dude stuck you with being uncomfortable on your flight, right? Well, the $150 didn't make you any less squished in your seat, so it really feels like you just blackmailed this guy for being fat." The real asshole in this situation is the airline, in my opinion, but still.
It's not about being less squished. He's paying for the inconvenience. Obviously, he's going to be squished regardless, but give me $150.
Yeah, well, it's not blackmail because it's the airline that's saying, "Sir, you cannot be on this plane because you need to find someone who will fit, who is willing to deal with this. You have happened to sit by someone who is unwilling to deal with this, and this person has a right to that assertion because that is what we subscribe to when we buy a plane ticket, that we have our own seat."
And he says the real a-hole is the airline.
I think the only option for the airline would be, like, if this became an issue, and it may with the rate that America is growing in obesity, is a little part of, like, when you buy a ticket online, it would say, like, can your body completely fit within one seat? However, I think what we would find if they had that is that most people would lie because they know, just like you said, that the vast majority of people are going to suffer in silence and deal with this. And in fact, this guy may even know that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to indict his character. However, if for him, 1 in every 10 flights, which is probably about the ratio of, like, assertive people, he's going to have to pay a $150 fee or even a $300 fee, he's going to do it.
Yeah, and, like, part of me, like, the bleeding heart part of me feels like it's not fair for this obese man to have to pay extra, but it's definitely not fair for an innocent passenger to have him on their seat, so...
Exactly. BK Diver writes, "Not the asshole. Somewhere there's a large airline exec reading this thinking, charge for a fraction of the seat. All you greedy, skinny people buying one whole seat for yourselves? How about we sell you half a seat each and put 6 in a row of 3? Mustache twirl." Oh, man. I could see the airlines as trying to make this worse for everybody.
Sit on a lap.
Yeah, right. Everybody gets a random baby. Welcome to Southwest, where you don't know what seat you're getting or who's getting whose baby. But the flights are $9 cheaper. He goes on and says the asshole here is the airline for not having a system to properly charge for seating, and the large guy for knowing, unless this is the first time he's ever flown on an airplane, which I think is a good point that we've kind of alluded to. Like, did this guy know this was going to happen? Does this always happen? I got a lot of trouble believing a grown man, this is his first time on a flight. I mean, give me a break.
I feel sorry for him. I feel very sad for him. Like, that's got to be a nightmare to have to buy 2 seats. But, like, if you know your body type, you got to splurge for that extra seat.
Well, do you think he's an a-hole if he goes on flights somewhat regularly and knows that he's making the person next to him uncomfortable and does it anyway?
I think, yes, you're an a-hole because you're kind of exploiting the kindness of others, and I think that makes you be an a-hole.
If this guy's strategy was... he flies somewhat regularly, and he goes, you know what? Most people are going to put up with this, and I'm going to get away with it. I kind of feel like he's riding on the lack of assertiveness of strangers, and I don't necessarily know that that's going to cross into a-hole territory for me.
It's at the very least selfish, at the most asshole-ish.
It's a little selfish. I don't want to judge anymore on him. That's it.
That's it.
Because I think I would do the same thing. If I fit into 2 seats, hell no, I'm not buying 2. I'll wait till someone puts up a stake, and I'll broker a deal with them. Story number 2, AITA for not giving up my seat on a plane so a mom could be with her kids. By you, Cool Shade Bro 17. I was on an 8-hour flight. I sat down in my aisle seat. A really loud mother came on with her teenage daughters. They came to my row and she asked me if I'd want to trade her seats a few rows back. I looked back to where she was pointing and it was a window seat next to 2 pretty large individuals. I respectfully declined. She started to get super irritated and went on a rant about how crazy her trip has been and how she didn't want to be separated from her daughters. She went and sat in the back, but as we were getting ready to take off, she came back and she said she couldn't stand being back there. She asked me again if she could have my seat, and I told her no. The lady told the attendant I wouldn't give up my seat so she could be with her daughters. The attendant asked me if I could move back, and I told her no. The lady and the flight attendant seemed upset. She went back to her seat. I looked over at the people across the aisle and said, well, that was something. One of them said I should have given up my seat even if the lady was being rude about it. About halfway through the flight, the lady woke me up and said she was going to switch spots with her daughter since she couldn't be back there anymore. She sat down next to me and made her daughter sit in the back. I obviously think she was being an asshole, but was I also being an asshole for not giving up my seat?
She's not the asshole. The mother, when she asked for the seats, you got to shoot your shot. I don't blame her for asking once. But the fact that she asked repeatedly and then had the nerve to wake this woman up while she was sleeping, wildly inappropriate.
I have to say, I think it's a little bit of a hard line to be like, you have a right to your seat and you shouldn't accommodate people. But if you look back and you don't like what's being offered, you can say no. And I'm assuming that because this person didn't specify that they were, oh no, they did. They're teenage daughters. Give me a break. If they're kiddos, then yes, get up out of your seat, unless it's an extreme situation, which it kind of sounds like it was, by the way. It sounded like there was going to be a significant impact on the comfort because he says, right, that there are
two bigger people in the back.
Two pretty large individuals. Well, it was a window seat, so it wasn't that bad. But still, you have a right to your seat. In a case of teenage daughters, I say, go fuck yourself, lady. It sounds like you're uncomfortable. This doesn't even have anything to do with the daughters. And her constant needling.
Pay for the seat then. You can choose your own seat if you pay extra.
Absolutely. And I think it was rude for the flight attendant to even try to leverage her way in there and put more pressure on this person. Leave them alone.
That's inappropriate of the flight attendant to do that. Hey, you know the seat you paid for and is yours? Could you move, please?
Exactly. Top comment, Becky, no life. Not the asshole. You are under no obligation to move for them. Rude behavior should not be rewarded either. So anyone who got upset at you for having a backbone and not putting up with it can shove it.
Shove it.
I mean, that might be a little bit too far for me. Like I said, I think there are situations where it's if you're an able-bodied person, you're not with anyone, there's really nothing you're giving up. Don't be a monster. If an old lady's like, I'm going to be dying in a week and I want to spend this 5-hour flight with my son. Lady, I have a right. But in this case, it sounds like this woman was merely uncomfortable. She doesn't need to be with her teenage daughters. Yes, you're under no obligation to move.
And she specified she sat down in her aisle seat and the other was a window seat. So she obviously prefers an aisle seat, it sounds like.
Apparently, it was a squish window. And windows are a little bit more claustrophobic. Personally, I prefer a window because I want to be able to see the ground that kills me when I die. Second top comment by Onlin. NTA, she was rude to you. The flight attendant should be ashamed at her own lack of professionalism. You paid for your seat. I wouldn't have switched either. No one knows your personal sitch.
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I would feel petty and just not move just to be petty. I just don't want to move, so no. But then I feel like it's got to be pretty...
Well, wait, so you're in an aisle seat.
I'm in an aisle seat.
You're in row 26, and I'm in row 27 in an aisle seat. And I say, hey, man, that's my son. I just want to sit next to him. And he's 15. Would you mind trading aisle seats? You're moving one row back.
Well, that's a 1-for-1 trade versus way back. And then... Because the thing is when you're way in the back...
So you would, though. You're telling me you would.
If it's one row different, aisle, I'll do it. Aisle for window and multiple rows back, that's a big difference. Takes you an extra 15, 20 minutes. You're waiting for all those people in front of you to unload their baggage and everything.
15, 20, more like an extra 5,
Have you ever seen how slow these people are on the planes?
They're slow, but I feel like unloading the whole plane takes, 20 minutes? There's no way it adds 15. You're such a drama queen, bro. I mean, look, I think that if it's an aisle and somebody has a lot to gain, don't be a douchebag and give it up to them. Your time is not that important, by the way. Let me just say, I feel like a lot of these come down to people thinking their time is so fucking important. Who are you? Are you a neurosurgeon who's late to performing neurosurgery? Then fuck the fuck off, dog. Give up your seat, Anthony, and I'll give up my seat. You want to sit by your son? He's ugly. I don't want to look at him anyway.
I will say one benefit, and this is another selfish reason. One benefit of giving up the seat is that has to be an awkward 5-hour flight. You're sitting next to someone who's stewing. They can't sit by their mother. Some angry teen girl.
Oh, well, he doesn't even mention the daughters, right?
Well, that's got to be awkward, right? Wouldn't you think?
Well, no, it would be awkward, but the fact that he doesn't mention that makes me think the daughter's like, yeah, I don't really give a shit about my mom. She's like making it a thing.
I just want
like,
to text.
Yeah, how do we get text? Do you have personal hotspot? Can I use your hotspot? I'm trying to listen to the Asshole podcast. Dissenting comment by Mood Jewelry. Everyone sucks here. Also, I'm not saying you're wrong. It was your seat and you shouldn't be expected to give it up, especially since her daughters are not children and they probably don't need their mother right next to them. But the rest of the passengers in the plane probably view you as the asshole. See, I think this is the exact kind of shit that's the same two people from the first story where it's like, dude, I don't care what other people think when they're clearly wrong. Like, just because someone asked you for something, that is the thing. I feel like sometimes people ask for things and they don't even really realize that they are asking. She is asking, which means the answer can be no. That's the beauty of asking, folks.
Right.
I don't care that the other passengers view this guy as an a-hole. Why?
This lady seems really annoying and really entitled because the person opens up with a really loud mother came on with her teen daughters. Seems like a nightmare.
She did come back repeatedly, which was also a little rude. And then she even sent her daughter back there, which is proof that, like, this maybe wasn't so much about the whole daughter thing and more about she being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I say, look, folks, you got to be assertive on the plane. It's a freaking dog-eat-dog world up there.
Everywhere.
We are sponsored today by Spirit Airlines, the only airline where there are literally no rules. Bring a machete and slash everyone to death. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, listener submissions.
Ooh, so excited.
So this is really great, Anthony. I'm really excited about this. Your friend sent this in. It's kind of like it's kind of a PSA.
Yeah.
And I'm all about this because I think one of the things we want to do with this pod is like give a voice to anybody who's like, hey, like so many people don't know. I think a lot of assholery can come from ignorance, right? Like people don't know the rules about tipping the Uber, and I learned that. People don't know the rules of tipping the waiter or the doorman. And this comes from someone who works in fast food drive-thrus.
Oh boy, that's a challenging job.
Here we go. Too many people make assumptions as to how fast food restaurants operate. Most places don't have shit pre-made waiting under a lamp. So anyone who orders like 6 Big Macs thinks the burgers are just already made and waiting. They're not. The sandwich still needs to be built, and that shit takes time. I spent years at Taco Bell, and I had to tell a ton of people why their large order took so long. Like, dude, you ordered 5 chili cheese burritos and 2 Mexican pizzas. Those all have to be assembled and then steamed. Steaming takes 30 seconds per item, and we only have 2 steamers. You do the math. When you order a ton of food, you have to know it's not going to be tossed at you as you drive past the window. You're going to hold up the line. And as a normal human, remember that the guy behind you, his fucking kid, is screaming at him and kicking his seat because they want their Happy Meal. But they got to wait 20 minutes behind you because you were too lazy to get out of your car and go inside to order your family's feast. It's not for the benefit of the restaurant that you go inside to order. It's for the benefit of your fellow man so they can get their McDouble and fries and move along. If you have a huge order at a fast food place where you will hold the line up, you're an asshole.
Bold statement, and I think it seems unfair to have to go in. What if I don't want to go in?
The restaurant doesn't really care what you do. It's that you are messing with other people. Right? Like, it's the same thing with the airline. Like, the airline doesn't really care if you take up 2 seats. You're messing with someone else.
But the restaurant still has 2 steamers regardless of whether I'm inside or outside.
I don't know how fast food works and steamers work, but I think clearly there are many cases where the person who ordered Thanksgiving freaking dinner is holding up the line. And I think this is a really profound point.
But what if you're, like, say, a family of 6 or, like, maybe like a single parent with 5 children? You expect that parent to bring the 5 bratty kids into the restaurant. They're kicking and screaming. You just got off work. You're tired. Can't you just sit down, turn on the radio? Like, why are you in such a rush? You're not a neurosurgeon. Just wait in the freaking drive-through line.
You're using my own neurosurgeon rhetoric back at me, and it's working. I agree that this necessarily... Okay, that is a pretty good example of someone who would find a lot of value to staying in their car. It's like I have 5 savage children that will literally begin ripping apart the entire McDonald's fare. However, I think there are a lot of cases where someone's picking up food for their homies. They might as well go inside and not hold up the line. Why can't I get you on board for that?
Because I feel like the customers are going to have to wait regardless of whether I'm standing online or I'm waiting in my car.
But why would
online.
he say this, Anthony, if
That's
was
true? You're right.
Obviously, there's a way. I don't know how the steaming fucking... I didn't even know it was a steamer. I thought a steamer was for cleaning my clothes or something.
Assume he's the expert and just... He's right. Thank you for the submission.
He's the expert. Come on, folks. If you're ordering Thanksgiving in the drive-thru, come on, go inside. Title, No Free Days. AITA, my girlfriend and her sister decided to plan a big Easter event to have all of their family over. This has been planned for a while. Now, I did not enjoy party planning or event planning, so I try to stay out of it as much as possible. She'd mentioned that on the Saturday before the party, Easter Eve, if that's what you call it, she would be staying at her sister's. I was very much looking forward to this as a way to have some alone time Saturday night, which is totally rare in my life. Never at any point did she mention needing any help. Well, of course. Saturday rolls around and she asked me to come over and help set things up. I didn't leave her sister's house for the next 24 hours. Am I the asshole here for being super annoyed that my Saturday do-nothing plans were ruined?
Definitely not. I mean, it's natural to feel that way. I think you're actually a great person because you wanted to do nothing, but instead you went and did it. Like, you're annoyed. That's fine. That's understandable. But you still did the thing.
I don't know. I feel like this person isn't being assertive. They got put into something and then they're super annoyed. It's like, why don't you just say no? Right? Because you had no reason to say no because you were just doing nothing. I don't think this is as straightforward as it seems. I think this person is having an issue because if you're annoyed and you don't want to do something and you don't have to do it, it either needs to be part of a trade of some kind or part of a compromise or something that you accept or something you just don't do. Like, those are the options. Like for instance, my girlfriend always wants me to go to all these weddings of all these people. I don't know who they are. I've never even heard of them. I think that's the part that frustrates me the most. She's like, oh, we have to go to Maria's wedding. I'm like, I don't know who Maria is. Who is Maria? Oh, I'm like, you've never talked about her. I have a recording of everything you've ever said. You've never mentioned her. No, she's my best friend from summer camp 14 years ago. And it's just, but I accept it, Anthony. Right? I know that it's important for her that she shows up with her shitty boyfriend. That's part of her thing. What I'm having issues with this submitter is like, it seems like they're not accepting that this is either part of the role because it's their girlfriend and you have to sometimes do shit with your girlfriend, or they're not being assertive. So I think there is an issue underlying here and they're going to keep getting frustrated if they don't speak up. Or if they don't just accept like, yo, this just comes with the territory, dog.
So basically what you're saying is if you're going to do something that you don't want to do, just accept that you're doing it to be nice and then don't be annoyed about it. Is that kind of what you're saying? Mm-hmm. I think it's really toxic to bottle all that negative energy up.
Hugely toxic.
They need to bring it up.
I don't think submitter is an a-hole. I just think they need to figure out what's going on with their like do nothing versus their girlfriend help plans. I think it's important to understand what's going on. And I'm not saying it's straightforward. I still struggle with it. I'm ready to tell my girlfriend never bring me to a wedding again. I am sick of the shit. Good Lord. Enough with the getting married people. Title, Lazy Husband, Second Child. We got basically two submissions that were very similar, so I don't know what's up with that, but they basically have all the exact same details, so maybe this is happening to two different people. We're sorry if yours got deleted and it wasn't a duplicate. My friend and her husband have a child and are talking about possibly having another. Am I the asshole if I tell her they should reconsider a second child since the husband barely helps out with child number one now, and I don't think they will last together? Whoa. This packs a lot of dynamite for like 3 sentences.
Yeah, that's potent. I think that's definitely asshole-ish. You should mind your own business, you know? There's no way you're going to recover from that. Telling your friend that the husband and wife, like, it's not going to work, don't have another kid, don't bring more life into this world, your marriage is failing, you're failing, get a divorce. Give your child up for adoption.
I think you're spot on. I think it is a huge bomb drop. I'm going to quote my favorite quote. Discretion is the better part of valor. I know you guys are sick of it, but it has to be said.
Yeah.
It is important as a friend that you come clean with your friends. And I'm actually going to quote David McKelvey, who says, I feel like good friends would give their opinions to each other and keep it 100. I think a good friend will say something. However, I think part of the mastery here, part of the discretion here is how you say what you say. And boy, your message here is not ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, like, how do you organically bring it up? Like, I doubt this person's friend is gonna be like, hey, do you think I should have a second child? It has nothing to do with you, but do you think I should? Like, how would you go about bringing that up?
I think it's tough. I think there are ways in. There are ways to get you there. You know, oh, did you hear that so-and-so's having a kid? I've been thinking about kids. Oh, really? You know, I think there's ways to get the topics there. You know, you can always do the kind of like, you can always project it onto yourself. If you talk about something that's happening to you, people will automatically put it onto them.
Yeah, that's true. I think if I were this friend, I would probably say something along the lines of like, so has your husband been helping more with your child? That way you could maybe get my friend talking like, no, Dave never does anything. He's super lazy, whatever. Like, I think that would probably be my entry point into it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this friend is all over the place because if this person knows like, oh, well, they've had issues, they want a second child, but they also feel like the husband's not doing anything, it kind of sounds like this friend just is having like, I don't know, biological clock issues. And so they want that second kiddo. So they're kind of all over the place. I mean, I think this is really tough. I don't know if I have the answer that is going to solve this. But yeah, I think you could very easily be the asshole and it could really ruin your friendship. As you said, Troy Rowe says, quote, if it's her first time hearing this and you say it in a supportive way, then you are free and clear. Yeah, I think that's right. I just think it's finding the way to say this that
in a supportive
super
way.
Destructive. Yeah. Actually, I kind of have an insight related to this tangentially. So I was hanging out with my brother, and for about like 2 hours, we're just like talking bullshit, whatever, having a pleasant time. And then my bro goes, hey, why don't we leave our phones and go on a walk? And we left our phones like an hour into this walk. I just start pouring out all this like venting and emotional heavy stuff. And then he comes right back at me. And I was like, oh shit, like we took, even though you're my freaking bro, it took us like 3 hours of warm up to kind of get to our feelings, like to open up to the trust zone, get this stuff out and process it. So I feel like there is something to be said too about the length of an interaction, warming this person up, making them trust you, even if you already have a trusting relationship. Like you don't want to just go to someone and drop a bomb on them.
Yeah, you don't want to take them to brunch and be like, so I'm going to have the mimosa and also Sharon, your husband's horrible. You can't just do that. It's just not ideal.
And she'll have the waffle. Jenny Wakowiak writes, are you an a-hole? Depends how close you are, but it's for sure impolite. I think that's right along what we're saying here. It's a bomb drop. Mary O'Connell Funderburg, mind your business or maybe get your own and stay out of your friends. Definitely the asshole. Whoa, hard line. That's a family member, isn't that, Anthony?
Shout out to my Aunt Mary.
Aunt Mary says stay out of it. Look, I think stay out of it is a valid strategy. And that's a good point. Like we're assuming that they are somewhat close. If they're not close, sometimes it's just like, yo, it's none of your business.
What difference does it really make to this person's life?
Really, the only reason to say this would be like if you think your friend would be affected, and they would only be affected if you were close to them already.
Exactly.
Title, Blatant Cheater on Easter. This was submitted on Easter. I can't believe this shit. I cheat on my husband all the time.
Whoa.
I know this sounds obvious, but we met in high school and he got me pregnant. I never got to have a crazy phase, and I want my daughter to have a good life. But also I want to do whatever I want. If I tell him, he'll be destroyed and it's negative energy that I don't want. So I just do whatever I want. Am I the asshole?
Well, the fact that it's on Easter leads me to believe maybe she was a little intoxicated, maybe a little Easter party, a little Sunday fun day.
Yeah,
you're the asshole. I think honesty is the best policy. Like, it is a little more complex than it seems because it is kind of sweet that she wants her daughter to have a good life, but like it is also like a lie though too.
I really am fascinated by people who can cheat in a way because like I think about cheating every day. Now, I've thought about cheating before, but I always realize like I would feel so guilty. I don't know that I could last 2 days without telling my girlfriend because it would just haunt my every moment.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have cheated once.
Okay.
And I felt really guilty for like 2 or 3 days. And then like I kind of forgot about it. It was on the back burner. And then like I just never told. I never told the truth. It wasn't an ongoing cheating. It was like a one-time cheat fest.
Yeah.
Back in my stand-up comedy days. I went to Cincinnati Funny Bone and hooked up with a girl down there. And I just never told my Columbus, Ohio girlfriend.
And how long were you guys together after that?
Like 2 years. But also this person says she cheats all the time. So it's a little different.
I'm trying to see her view as much as possible. Like
the FOMO thing's kind of whack. Like she said, like she misses out, like she never had a crazy phase. Like that's kind of a lame excuse for cheating, I think.
The best way I could defend her would be like, look, your husband, he's getting what he wants from you. He doesn't know you're cheating. Apparently, you're pulling it off. It's going to cause your family to be wrecked if you guys split up. Divorce is horrible. And apparently, your husband is happy. So maybe you're almost overcompensating because you know you're a cheating monster and you're making him happy.
Do you think it's possible he's a bad lover? And if he is a bad lover, does that excuse her behavior?
No, it doesn't excuse her behavior. I can't not call her an asshole. I guess what my message is, like, what I'm confused about is to tell her what she should do. I mean, she's definitely an asshole. There's no question. I mean, cheating is such a violation of trust, like, and her husband would be devastated if he found out. But at this point, she's this far in it. I guess I have some questions like, how old is the daughter? Because if the daughter is, 10 years old, it's kind of like, well, you're really going to hold on for 8 more years?
Yeah, that's tough.
It's just like, for this poor guy, I don't know.
Also, maybe he cheats too. But I guess you'd call it an open relationship. She wouldn't say that she's cheating.
Well, and that's the thing that I always say to my girlfriend, as I say, like, look, to me, cheating, it's like, why would you cheat? If you really need to do this crazy sexual thing, why don't we just talk about it and we'll deal with that as it happens? So I think that's the other part of cheating. It's like, especially now where it's like there's so much poly and open, it's like, just make it work. Because
maybe the lying is hot for her. Maybe she's into it. Like, maybe she's only asking because, like, maybe she gets off on the being bad. Maybe she knows she's an asshole and she's into it and she owns it. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, I think so. She posted this on Easter. Like, she was at a family get-together. Her daughter was opening an egg. Like, look, Mom, I found a chocolate. She's like, I can't believe I have to lie to my husband for 13 more years. Mary O'Connell Funderburg writes, judgment-free zone. Well, if she burns him with STDs or AIDS, he will find out. Or if she gets pregnant by one of her hoes, she's a straight-up whole ass. Be a woman and own up to your shit and be accountable.
That's fair.
I love whole ass. That is great. Lisa Porter writes, I hope your husband is deep dicking your best friend and your mom on the low, but do you thing, girl. Damn.
Deep dicking the mom and the best friend.
Right. Does that add up? So if you're cheating on your husband, he's allowed to deep dick your best friend and your mom? I don't know.
One or the other, Lisa. Get it together.
Yeah, that's too much, Lisa. You went too far. Yeah, bottom line, blatant cheating. Of course you're an asshole. I say, look, level out with your partner. He's a human being. Tell him what's going on. And you know what? Your daughter will be okay.
Yeah.
Don't do that to your husband. Come on. Title, cheating with a man. So I caught my best friend's husband cheating with a man. She has been married for 3 years, no kids. How do I tell her? Do I tell her? It was at the dog park and my dog and I walked over to say hello. He was in his car with a guy. It was very obvious what was going on. So AITA if I say nothing. She would be the asshole if she said nothing. Absolutely. I think there is an obligation to report as a friend.
Definitely agree 100%. And in my own personal life, I have been cheated on, and one of my really good friends, it damaged our friendship for a while, but we're over it now. But one of my good friends, Sean, he actually listened to the pod. Thank you, Sean. He did not tell me that my girlfriend was cheating. My girlfriend was cheating on me, and he saw her and he knew, but he didn't tell me because he didn't want to have a weird convo or whatever. But he told me after we broke up, and I was really pissed at him for a long time because I think you should absolutely tell your friends.
Absolutely, that's part of your duty as a friend to keep an eye on the ne'er-do-wells. I think you got to be careful the way you tell it. I think certain people would get mad. I still think you should tell them, and I think that's a sign of immaturity. If your friend is to have a meltdown on you, how dare you tell me that? You're lying. There's always that possibility they could turn on you because they're not ready for the truth.
Don't kill the messenger. Exactly.
I do have one more juicy quote, and we'll wrap it on up.
I'm excited to hear this one.
The intent doesn't change the impact.
That's powerful.
So I think there's a lot of sort of right-wing rhetoric about these kinds of things. Facts don't care about your feelings, things of that nature. But I think in the end, what we need to all internalize is that if you meant to say a nice thing or you meant to say a neutral thing and it hurt someone's feelings, it doesn't change that it hurt their feelings, that your intent was not to hurt their feelings.
I think that's very important. And also, I think it's good to say the intent doesn't change the impact, because then people can say whatever they want regardless of what their intention truly was. And then they'll be like, oh, I didn't intend to hurt you. I meant to say this. And it's like, but you did though.
Right. People also hide behind intent a lot. They'll be like, well, and because here's the thing about intent. you can make the intent whatever you want. Isn't that convenient?
Right, exactly.
Like, oh, I didn't intend or I was just stating a fact, And it's like, well, yeah, like, I mean, you could say like, oh, well, you are technically overweight. That is just a fact. My intent was to state facts. And it's like when you try to hide behind that and hide behind the impact, what you're ultimately doing is just denying responsibility for your actions, because part of your responsibility as a person is to realize that what you do matters, what you say matters, and that it can have an impact. And if that's the case, you want to shape what you're doing and what you're saying to have positive impacts on people, because discretion is the better part of valor. People, I have a message.
Danny's got a lot to say, and I'm here for it.
I just don't think your intent matters that much. People, in the law, it matters. In certain issues, it does matter. But if you're hurting people's feelings, it really doesn't matter what you were trying to do or you thought you did. So just say sorry.
Exactly. Now, do you think saying sorry if you don't mean it, does it still have value?
I think sometimes saying sorry is the beginning of meaning that you're sorry, right? Sorry does not close the case. You can't just be like, I'm sorry, done, not talking about it further. That's not what, because then you weren't being sincere.
Right.
So I don't think sorry is like open sesame, the door is open and you're done. Sorry means like you can say, I'm sorry. And you're like, Danny, it didn't really seem like you meant that. I'm sorry. Tell me more. Talk to me more. Right?
Why are you sorry? Tell me specifics.
Exactly. You could demand more of the sorry. And I think a lot of times saying sorry just means I'm now open to hear what happened and how I hurt you. That opens the victim up so that you can then truly understand, which sets you up for the true apology. Saying sorry is not the same as apologizing. Saying sorry is just a word. Guys, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Things will be back to normal. I was on vacay. We can't wait. Please submit. Please tell your friends.
Yes, please keep listening. Go to AITApod.com. Give us your subs, baby. We want it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
we'll
you.
see you next time.